Good evening, everyone. I'm Andre Michael Vieras, your anchor for the fourth episode of Season 7 International Series. This is the last episode for the said season, and we are very grateful to our guest tonight who shall enlighten us on his own practice in a different part of the world. But before I introduce our guest for tonight, let's thank the IARFC PH, the Philippine chapter of the International Association of Registered Financial Consultants, for putting together this podcast. The IARFC PH is an association dedicated to the craft of financial consulting and is the sole organization authorized to conduct RFC conversion courses as well as continuing education in the field of financial consulting. So, for season 7, it's a very interesting season. We have been inspired from the Khan family of RFCs, Mr. David Kinder, for his top of mind concept, Mr. Rowie Diffendorf on multi-generational success. Very interesting, very amazing guests. And true to our promise for this entire season, we have a roster of powerhouse guest speakers who have made a mark in the financial planning industry and have raised their practices to higher levels through continuing education and ensuring financial planning legacy. So for tonight, we shall end the season with on a high note by learning from a financial planning guru. Our guest for tonight has over many years of experience in financial planning. He has an MBA in finance and capital markets from the US. He also holds various licenses and designations in capital markets, health, and life insurances. He has the credentials. He is also a columnist in Indonesia, contributing much of the thinking and developing uh, the financial planning zeitgeist through his columns in Indonesian's economic tabloid, Indonesia's first financial planning tabloid, and Parents Guide magazine. It's an interesting part about bringing in parents because no matter how we look at it, personal finance is a very uh, personal but also a familial thing, right? Because it affects the people close to you. He is also a contributor in Business Indonesia, a newspaper, Investor Magazine, SWA Magazine, Modal Magazine, and Infobank Magazine. A lot of magazines. And aside from his contributions, he was a lecturer for financial planning courses and classes at the Magister Management of University of Indonesia. It's the number one state-owned university in Indonesia. The Christian University of Petra Surabaya, the Global Finance Education, and the World Trade Center University. He is also a visiting lecturer for financial planning at the Institute. I'm scared to pronounce this, but I'll give my best try. The Institute Pengembangan Manajemen Indonesia. He is also a resource speaker for various talk shows, seminars, business forums, and of course, he is a registered financial consultant. So let's all welcome the chairman of the IARFC Indonesian chapter, Mr. Aidil Madjid. Welcome to the RFC Tuesday podcast. We are very honored to have you join us from Jakarta, Indonesia.
Hi, Andre. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, how is it for you tonight?
Well, it's been doing very good. Actually, right now it's a holiday season. It's a long weekend in Jakarta.
Wonderful. Perfect timing, I guess.
All right.
All right. So let's get it started. So, okay. So the first question from us is basically to know about your personal journey. So could you tell us about your journey to financial services?
Right. I think back in the 90s, I went to the United States to go for college. Started in 1996, I think. That's the first experience me about financial planning. So there's a Indonesian guy who just graduated during those times and came to the campus and do like a small presentations to us as college students. So he kind of telling a story about investments, how to put the money in the mutual funds and insurance, variable universal life insurance kind of things like that. And then that struck me, like, oh wow, you can make so much money by investing money using what's called dollar cost averaging method. So I told him, like, I was interested to put some money in, but I'm more interested to become like him. So, you know, uh,
Yeah.
I mean, during those times, like, cool, you're wearing the suit, the tie, and for the college student that time, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting to start the journey as a financial guy, right? So he took me to this company. So I start learning about financial planning. And then after that, started doing some stock trading. And back in 97, then I joined this company called American Express Financial Advisors. That's one of the biggest financial planning firm in United States. Um, and they have a very, very good training sessions for a new advisors. It basically like you're in the training session all the time. You go to your branch and do a financial planning, and every like now and then, every 2 months, they call you up to the headquarter in Minnesota, and they give you like a week trainings and go back again to your branches and do services again to the client. So I learned a lot about financial planning through this company, the American Express Financial Advisor. I think they changed the name or they sold the business. Now it become Ameriprise. They're already
Mm.
IPOs, I think. So if you
Yeah.
can Google it, yeah. So those are the beginning of my career in finance and financial planning. And then, of course, I graduated from my bachelor degree and then took my master's degree in the United States as well. Back in 2000, I went back to Indonesia. And during those time, I still didn't know that I want to bring this profession to Indonesia, because I knew that time Indonesian people wasn't ready for financial plan, right? So even for kind of investment like stock and bonds and mutual funds. So then I went back, started a career in the bank for like almost a year, and then I skipped to investment. So I worked for mutual fund company as managers for business development. And then during those time, then I figured, because I used to work for Manulife Asset Management. So during those time, I figured that this company that I work for, they have a pretty much very great sets of products. So they have mutual funds, they have retirement funds, they have insurance, so I started talking with the CEO and look if they're ready to become a financial planning or do a kind of offer a service as a financial planner in their company. Then during those time, then I figured, hey, I had the experience with American Express, and then go back first. Before, but when they hired me, the CEO of the asset management, he was a CFP actually, so he knows exactly the process of financial planning. So then during those time, I asked them if they want to do it, and I figured that I had this experience with American Express that I can bring in the company. So we did small project, not small though, it kind of big at the time, where all these insurance, not all, like the top 100 insurance agents, that we teach them how to sell mutual funds and get a license from the authority here. And then they're starting selling not only life insurance product, they're also selling mutual funds and doing financial planning. It's very simple financial planning. That's until 2003, I think, when a startup company, investment company, offering me to become their CMO. So I took the offer. So I moved to this small company to become CMO in 2003. and 2005, I think, 2005, I become the CEO of the company. But during those time between 2003 to 2008, we did a lot of, it's more like a boutique investment, like the one in Philippines, in Singapore, and Malaysia. So although we had, I think I had 3 mutual funds in my company, but we more focus on corporate finance. So we more focus on M&A, takeovers, hostile takeovers, something like that, mergers, So and up until 2008, and then during those time, the company offered me stocks, and then I bought into the company, me and my partners. Then we become the majority owners of the company.
Wow.
And then right before the crisis, 2008, we sold the company. Just right.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. I think we sold it on January or February 2000. We closed the deal on February 2008, and I think the crisis started in March 2008, something like that. So like a month or 2 months before the crisis started. So just a perfect timing. And during those time, in between 2003 to 2008, I engaged with IARFC, and we already started the training programs, the certifications, and I got a lot of relationship with the media. I started talking to the TVs, radios, do interviews with the medias. So I figured during those time, a lot of people then interested to become a financial planner. So after I sold the company in 2008, I become more into retail business, teaching financial planning, because on the when I still the CEOs for the company, we're more into the high net worth and ultra high net worth client during those times. So we manage a company, and we have a separate company called Pavilion Wealth Management. So we had 2 companies actually. Pavilion Capital is an investment management company, and Pavilion Wealth Management to be part of the wealth management financial planning program. So to offer those to the ultra high net worth clients. Then after we sold the company, both companies, then we went to more retail. So I serve as a lecturer of financial for the financial planning in IARFC and other campuses. And then I set up another financial planning firm to be to serve more retail client, and also to give example for the graduate from our IARFC on how to start a financial planning firm. So those basically the idea, So that's still running up until now. And then we have other graduates also want to become our partners. So we form an AAM associate plus AAM partners. So we have, I think, like about 11 companies that become our partners throughout Indonesia. Yeah. So we're still doing that up until now. Those are in financial planning. And then the last 5 years, I think I try to learn about crypto. So
Wow.
yeah, so this is interesting, and I know that not a lot of financial planners recommend crypto as part of their portfolio. But since I look young, then I want to stay young and keep updating about the investments and the products that's available in the market. So I learned about crypto since I used to do trading for a living for the stocks. Then I start trading cryptos. I become a crypto miners. I have all these machines. And then I think like 2 years ago, they offered me a job as a CEO of one of the crypto companies in Indonesia. It already has a license from the authority. And then last year, they after that, then they offered me a country manager for one of the blockchains, one of the big blockchain, the new blockchains from East Europe. up until last March, I think. Yeah, and then they offered me another position, a CFO. Now I'm working as a CFO for a payments company, a local
Ah,
payments company. It's a startup, but then I give a Web3 flavor. So we now doing a crypto payments as well as crypto ATM for this company. So now I'm in terms of the products. Now I'm including crypto as part of the portfolio whenever I talk, and a lot of our young client, the Generation Z, Generation Y, the millennials, they're more interested in investing their money in crypto instead of stocks. Well, although they have stocks portfolio, but now they want to try because their risk tolerance is very high, so they want to try crypto as part of the portfolio. So that's why I go into crypto and start creating modules for the people in Indonesia, especially for the IARFC graduates, so they can learn more about these new products. And on top of it, now I'm creating like price, like an index for the crypto. So I'm creating like a crypto price index. You can go googling cryptopriceindex.co. So it's like a Nasdaq, or it's like a stock exchange index.
yeah,
So uh,
tracker.
yeah, my goal is to bring financial planning and wealth management to the next level by using Web3 products, because this is probably the future for the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm preparing to have like a mutual fund in crypto because that's something that I am very good at. And then maybe insurance in Web3 in using blockchains as part of insurance. And I already spoke with one of the Australian company that they want to do estate planning, riding wheels and put the wheels on the blockchains. So that be something very interesting and very promising for the future, I think. So that now I'm like half of my feet already in crypto though. So, but I'm still doing financial planning, doing still lecturing. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring this Web3 euphoria into a financial planning, or bring the financial planning to the Web3 for, preparing for the future. So.
Sounds very interesting. I mean, looking at your story, or at least listening to your story, it's like there's a lot of perfect timings there. Like right, like you came back after the Asian financial crisis, and
That's it.
then sold the company before the great financial crisis, no, the great financial recession. So a lot of interesting timing. You also got in crypto right before Bitcoin probably exploded to whatever $20,000 per coin.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's like that sounds like a lot of perfect timings, right? And then you got into the payments. Fintech is really pretty hot right now, right? Uh,
Yes.
so yeah, just before I go to other questions, I'm very curious. Talking about your index,
hmm
could you could you tell me how do you weight that? Like, is it market cap weighted? Like Bitcoin has the largest weighting, or how is it weighted?
Well,
Just a curiosity for me.
yeah. Well, actually, I'm just using if you go to a cryptopriceindex.co,
Hmm.
we have several index in it. I try and introduce the just copying from whatever we have in the stock market, right? So I'm creating like a blue chip crypto and then
Mm.
big cap crypto. So basically, I'm using the top 10, top 13 from the coin market cap as well, the coin gecko, based on the market cap, and then weighted based on their market cap. Uh, uh, and then I'm also creating, because Indonesia is mostly Muslim, like 80% are Muslim.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to get a reference for uh, creep what's it called that Sharia comply
Yeah.
crypto. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I went to these websites, Islamic Guru. So they have these Sharia comply kind of tokens. Then I created a Sharia comply index as well. And then crypto is also more into games and metaverse.
Yeah.
So I also created a token fans, because there's a lot of token fans right now. footballs, basketballs. So I created token fans index, and then gamers index and metaverse index. So there are, I think, like 5 or 6 indexes that already we generated. We started last year. So the index, just to give an idea of how the crypto move along, and then we can do a comparison between the crypto index with the stock market index. And then later on, when I create, or somebody else create crypto mutual funds, then they can benchmark it against our index. So that's the idea, though.
Pretty fascinating stuff. I'm sure if you're willing, we'd love to have you for another episode. But
All right.
going back, right? Going back. Uh, I think it's pretty interesting knowing that there are major differences in every country. There's like nuances and all that sort of thing. So, could you describe some of the differences in financial planning in Indonesia
Mm-hmm.
uh, against the U.S. and what similarities have you found in Indonesia to the rest of Asia?
Okay. All right. So see, what happened in Indonesia is, up until now, up until today, there is no sets of regulation to oversee the financial planning as a profession in Indonesia. So what happened is, we've been trying to contact and discuss with the central bank. We did discussion with the financial authority. We even invited them to Hong Kong whenever we had a meeting in the Hong Kong office. I think IARFC meetings during Edmoro administration in IARFC back in 2007 or 2008, right before the crisis. And then so there's no set of regulations. So, but we careful enough to not violate any law, especially in investments and then insurance. So we still obey the law. And then, just like about 2 months ago, I think, the financial authorities invited us to become part of the group discussions to create the blueprint architecture for financial planning in Indonesia. So last month we had a meeting in Bandung, in the city of Bandung, and I think they're trying to incorporate financial planning, especially financial planning that using the apps, because there's several companies that has the license for that, although the license is still in the financial so-called it's still in the sandbox for the financial inclusions, but they're interested to learn about financial planning. So they're asking and inviting us for the discussion. So I think the future is bright for financial planning in Indonesia. Although the social media, we have so-called financial influencers that has no license talking in the social media.
Yeah.
That's also part of the concern that we raise up to the authority, because as a member of association, especially international association, we have the code of ethic and code of conduct that we need to obey. But these financial influencers, based on their experience, 1 or 2 experience, and they think that they already know everything, and they start talking in they start talking in social media, and they have huge followers though. But we cannot do anything about it until they give some kind of law to financial planning, so we can tell them that, hey, you cannot say anything or do anything because it's already in the law. So something like that. So I think we raised the concern with the financial authority, and they pretty much acknowledge the situation though. So that's the challenge that we're having right now in Indonesia. Unlike in the US, I mean, if you want to do interviews or do something like that, you talk about stock, and then you need to have a license for that. If you talk about mutual fund, then you need a specific license, Series 6, Series 7, something like that. When I was in US, so Indonesia, there is no such a thing like licensing when you talk in the social media, even in the mainstream media though. So we raised those kind of concern because see what happened is I think like couple years ago, I think 2 years ago when we had got hit by COVID, the a lot of celebrity went into stocks and they're doing pump and dump. So that's kind of scary because a lot of new investors lost a lot of money because of that.
Yeah. And I can imagine that's also violations of securities or trading laws,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Mhm.
Market manipulation, that sort of thing.
Right.
Uh, and I think you make a great point about these social media influencers nowadays, right? Like they're not regulated, they're not trained. They just have their anecdotes and then they preach it like as if it's some sort of gospel or something that oh, this is how you should do it, and it's pretty dangerous, right?
Right.
And we've seen the same thing here. And like I'm quite active in the space, and
Mhm.
I look at what's going on in Canada and the U.S. They also have a similar problem, right? But at least regulators are starting to take that seriously, which is also, I think, an important part in elevating the profession, right? That you have to know, like, okay, you're an investor, you're a regular person, regular Joe. You need to know that you just can't listen to random influencers
Mhm.
because it's dangerous if you just take some random piece of advice. Like they call it a hack, but it could be illegal. It could be detrimental to their health, right? And
That's good.
you know, talking about this, um, it brings me to the next part about uh, uh, are you spending more time on servicing clients, or are you still as active or more active in training, on the training side of the financial services business?
Yeah. On the business side, I'm not really active in servicing client directly because I have about 15, 20 people work under me as a financial advisor. So I'm more assisting them in terms
Right.
of how to serve a client. Although some high net worth or ultra high net worth client still they want to talk and deal with me, of course. But nowadays I'm more into well, not nowadays, but for the last 20 years I'm more into the trainings,
Hmm.
give some suggestions and input and discussions with the regulators, all the players, all the seniors players in the industry, stocks in the insurance as well. And then more in the associations. I joined different kind of associations, part of become the part of their expert members, and give some input and insight on how to do financial planning and how to elaborate and include their product in the financial planning process. Because as a financial planner, we need a lot of financial products, right?
Yes.
And also try to encourage, especially for the insurance industry and insurance agents, to more learn about financial planning and do a financial planning approach instead of product pushing approach. But they have to be, they have to know the whole financial planning process, not only using the financial planning names or titles
Hmm.
just to get a client, and at the end of the day just keep selling a mutual insurance product only. So
Right.
we're doing that as well. So I do a lot of trainings for the banks. The bank they have the what's it called, wealth management, although it's still similar like financial planning. So we do a lot of trainings for the banks. We work with the universities. I do lecturing with the universities and a lot of associations. So I'm more into the lecturing sites and do a socializing through the media actually. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great use of your talents for sure. That you can leverage and create more value to a lot of the average Indonesian, right? Like you can touch more, you can help more instead of just doing client interactions directly. I think that's great. So, um, thinking about reaching. like a larger uh, audience instead
Mhm.
of just handling clients. I heard that you're a prolific author, and you've written at least 10 books. Could you tell us more about it? You know?
Yeah. I wrote 10 books. Yeah, I published 10 books. I think. Yeah, but it's not in the bookstore anymore because once they reach that certain level, and then we print it several times, and then we stop just to keep the books is hard to get, so we can sell it at highest price. Well, actually, what happened is when I first published my book, as I talked with the publisher, but I published my first book in 2007, I think, or 2009, something like that. During those times, um, when I published my book, I told to my publisher it has to be different. It has to be big, right? So I created a board game. Um,
Oh.
some people say that it's similar like a Kiyosaki game, but this is different. It's more like a Monopoly
Hmm.
combined with Kiyosaki games,
Right.
uh, called Rich Game. Okay, the game actually teaching you how to do financial planning, how to invest just by playing the game itself, right? So the book is accompanied by the game board. So I forced the publisher to publish both the game and the books. The publisher said, "Well, it's kind of hard to publish the game. Not a lot of people using the games anymore. Blah blah blah." And I say, "Well, my first book has to be big. It has to be different than any other
Right.
author." So instead of talking with the publisher, I talked with like three big publishers in Indonesia. All of them say it's a hard thing to do to publish the game with the board or the books with the games. And then I decided to self-publish it.
Wow.
So I wrote some kind of like 5 pages proposal because I was in the industry, right? I was a CEO for investment management, so I had a lot of connection with the banks, with the insurance, with all my connection. So I wrote this proposal and say, "Hey, I'm gonna publish a book. Do you wanna add in my? You wanna put an ad in my books? It's like
Ah.
it's similar like the magazine." So I sent like 40 proposal. 20 of them came back and said, "Yes, we want to put some ads in your books." So
Yeah.
then they transfer the money. Then we publish the book. So the book was already gained profit before it reached the bookstore. Actually, back in 2007 2009. So that's a started. So ever that since then, for the last 8 books, I think I did self publishing. Only
Yeah.
the ninth and the 10 books, the last 2 books that I used publisher because I was so tired of doing my team doing all those books inventories and dealing with the bookstore and stuff like that. And then I figure nowadays not a lot of people are reading a physical book anymore because they're using more like digital books, right?
Right.
So then I gave the rights to the publisher, I think, for the last 2 books. So yeah, I published 10 books. That's part of the strategy. A lot of my books, especially for the first 8 books, is kind of hard to find in the bookstore anymore because once we reprint it like 3 or 4 times, then we stop printing it and we stop selling in the bookstores. So to make it rare.
Yeah. Sounds like a a great idea. At least creates the scarcity, right? Makes it more valuable instead of
Exactly.
yeah. With having these books, and I'm sure writing a column and the like, you've probably reached, or I'm pretty sure you've reached a lot or a broad audience.
Mhm.
Has the mindset and culture of the public changed, or could you describe what's the public's mindset or culture or perception of financial planning and insurance in Indonesia?
Oh yeah. Um, the culture and the mindsets. It has been changed tremendously actually since the beginning we introduced a financial planning concept for the Indonesian market. Nowadays, people talk about investments, especially for the young generation, for the Gen Z, Gen Y. They're not afraid to invest in mutual funds, compared to like 15, 20 years ago. Although I was working for the mutual funds company, we had a hard time to explain what was mutual funds about, and how you invest in mutual funds. So yeah, it changed a lot. I mean, people nowadays, especially youngsters, they know that they have to start investing. They know, especially those who live in the cities, they know that they have to prepare education funds, retirement funds, So and they know that there are a lot of financial product that they can use. It depends on their time schedules, and it depends on their financial goals. So yes, I think it changed tremendously. On the insurance part, it changed as well, that a lot of insurance agent now taking classes, financial planning class, although they're only using the financial planning approach to sell insurance. Nothing wrong with that, but I still need them to more learn about the financial planning, so they can give like not a full financial plan service, but at least include any other financial product as part of the financial plan, not only telling them that the insurance solve everything. So that's what happened right now. So yes, the market changed tremendously, especially for the youngsters. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you pointed out that like the average, or at least more and more advisors are at least trying to incorporate or know more about financial planning, because it's like planting the seed, right? And
Mhm.
that it might not seem like a big change now, especially since most of them are still product focused, but the mindset is slowly shifting, right? And I can imagine in the next 10, 20 years, that's going to be a lot different. And which brings us to the next part, about uh, cultivating or shaping the next generation of financial consultants. So, could you tell us more about your involvement in the training of RFCs in Indonesia?
Yes, I still do trainings for the RFCs, both IFA and RFCs, actually. And then we have a different approach in Indonesia in terms of graduating people with RFC. The people with RFCs, they have to do some kind of training. I think two level of classes. They have to do a written test, the multiple choice test, a written a book plan test, as well as they have to present a book plan actually. So it's kind of like MBA's kind of type of
Right.
uh, trainings, right? So yeah, because I want to make sure that whoever holds the IRFC's designation in Indonesia meet the highest standard. So they serve a client, they do a good job, they obey the code of ethic and code of conduct. Because we know that in the grassroots part and in a lot of scam going on, a lot of um, mis-selling products going on. So we want to make sure that our RFCs holders, although we also doing on the RFAs holders as well, so that people graduated from IARFC has the highest standard, and they know that if you're dealing with the people graduated from IARFC Indonesia, you get the best people that give you the best advice. So that's what we're doing right now. Um, and then see, the regulator also asked us to be involved in the shaping and doing the architect for the blueprint for the financial planning regulation in Indonesia, especially the one that using apps. And also I have my own apps that's going on, and it's already now we're in the process of getting the license because they're now opening up again after the COVID. So I think the futures for the youngsters, generation millennials, YZ, Alpha, they're more interested doing financial planning using the apps because it's easier, it's more convenient for them, and they also can do product. They can buy the product using the apps as well. So that's why we incorporated the investment product as well, the insurance product into our apps though. So because the concern of the regulator, the financial authority, is more into the apps type of advisor, and also they're more concerned into the robo advisor, because they don't want to have scam on this part, right? So
Right.
that's why we put both the conventional, so-called conventional financial planners or advisors, as well as the apps type of advisors into one regulations. So that's why we're preparing the apps for them as well.
I think those are great points, and uh, it's also very important to actually prepare the AI side, with the trend towards AI. And the funny thing about AI, at least from my observation, is that when you ask, like, let's say ChatGPT a question,
Uh-huh.
it sounds very confident. And if you actually think about, some of the advice is wrong, but they sound so confident, which
Right.
can affect how, you know, um how somebody would follow the advice, and that can also be dangerous. That's why regulation is very important.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about RFA and RFC holders, right? Do you
Mhm.
also offer other courses besides those two?
Oh yes. Like I mentioned, because we're mostly Muslim, we're a Muslim country. 80% of the population are Muslims. So I think back in early 2003, when we first got licensed by IARFC, by the Home Office, we started to learn about doing financial planning in a Sharia compliant. So what happened is we took classes to Malaysia, because I mean during those time we had Jeffrey Chu as our leader for Southeast Asia, right? So I went to Malaysia, took some classes, but we figured that the classes that we had is not meet the requirement, as well as the thing that we think that is supposed to be for the Muslims doing financial planning. So I had a friend, Indonesian friend, who's also a board member of IRFC Indonesia during those time, who live in Malaysia. He worked in Malaysia, but then he had a chance to go overseas, mostly to the Arabic countries, the United Emirates Arab countries. So we did a study there. We found out that there's no such a thing as a Sharia financial planning. So we kind of got lost during those times. So we figured, then we had the discussion with some scholars and said that is it okay if we create something like that, using, and then um, some scholars said, hey, there's a knowledge in Islam about a family planning. So then we start from that,
Yeah.
because financial planning is more like individuals, right? Individuals and
Right.
families planning, right? So we started from that. So there is a chapters in Quran that talk about family planning, and then we elaborate from that. So we put some financial planning, the conventional part of financial planning process in it, and then we just need to fine tune the Sharia comply concept, and find the phrases and the chapters in Quran that shows that, hey, this is also saying in Quran though. So long time ago. So financial planning also part of the process for the Muslim as well. So then we come up with this module in 2004 or 2005, I think. During those time, we had discussion with Ed Morrow from Home Office. Ed Morrow was chairman and president for IRFC during those times.
Hmm.
And then we had the green light that we can create the models for the local. And actually 2006, I think, 2006 or 2007, Ed was asking me if I be able to teach those concept financial planning with Sharia compliant in the United States. But during those times, there are a lot of terminologies that very hard to explain in English,
Right.
and put it in the concept for the people that don't learn about Islam, right? So I figured, and I talked to Ed more the difficulties, and then Ed says, "Oh, okay, so then we need sometimes, yeah, I need to create the glossaries to elaborate the technologies in Islam, so it be more easier for people non-Muslim to learn about the Sharia concept, and especially in financial planning Sharia concept. So we have that, and then we've been teaching that as well, and it has a very good response from the market. Of course, like I said, because we are like 80% Muslims here. Other than that, we have some smaller class. A lot of people that want to learn about finance. They don't want to become a consultant yet. They don't want to become a planner yet, but they're interested in small part, like say for insurance. They're interested in learn of doing investments and mutual funds. So those kind of like a getaway, people can start learning about mutual fund first, and then later on they're like, okay, interesting about mutual fund. Then how about become a financial planner? So it's like a gate for them to become financial planner. So we have those kind of small 1 or 2 days classes for them to like try a taste of finance before they're more interested to become a financial planner. Yeah.
And that sounds like two very fascinating innovations, right? One is taking the wisdom from the Prophet and the Holy Book, right?
Right.
And the other one is also like trying to appeal or at least educate the broader
Mhm.
consumer market, right? So that can be the gateway, but that could also change the mindset. That's amazing. Um, I was just thinking about like how your reach is with the the broader market, the broader audience. Could you tell us more about the kind of apps you are using in financial planning? Because with this innovation,
Mhm.
you don't have to just talk to the person. You can educate them, but at the same time, they can also do it themselves with the app. So could
Right.
you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So 2018, me and my team, we form a new company, a separate company, and then we create these apps called Munisa and Riskana. It's separate app. One is for conventional, the other one is for Sharia comply. We intentionally divide into two apps actually, so it fits a different market, and as well is for the purpose of fundraising.
Yeah.
Right. So actually, going back to when I was in United States, when I was working for American Express Financial Advisor, I still remember vividly in my mind that we used to use this software in their proprietary laptops, financial planning softwares. It's very advanced during those times.
Right.
A very good software, and I still remember that. And I think back in 2011 or 2012, this guy came up to me and said, "Hey, why don't we do this financial planning?" In this time, we don't have this kind of apps yet, right? So people still using websites and stuff, right? So I was helping him to create this website called Ngatur Duit. Ngatur Duit means manage your money in slang, in Indonesian slang. um, and then I put all those financial planning calculators, how to do a calculation on all those financial planning stuff. But it turned out that the webs, it becomes so complicated for the regular users. And I told him that these websites, um, it's more fits into for using for the financial planners, you know, not for the regular users. And then we had a disagreement. We had a disagreement about the business plan as well. So we split up after that. So like 2 years after that, we split up 2013, I think. And then 2018, we come up with the idea, hey, why don't we recreate again what we had before with the websites, but now using the apps, right? Basically, apps is similar like website. You do the website and you do the apps, right?
Yeah.
So then we do that, but this time it has two phases. One is for the financial planner, the other
Right.
one for the regular users. So the regular users is more easier, like just put in the numbers, and they can do like a simple what's so called that we created jargon back in 2005, so-called financial checkup, right? So nowadays, a lot of people are using that jargon, financial checkup, financial checkup. So we create this. Actually, it's doing a financial ratios based on the numbers that you put it in, and then we know exactly what's doing good, what's doing bad in your financial situations. So those are like a gateway for people to start doing consultation with you, because
Right.
once they see that, that like a regular physical checkup, right? Once you know that you have this cholesterol, you have this
Mm-hmm.
diabetic and stuff like that, then you start asking the doctor, so what should I do, right? And then what kind of medicines that should I take? So that's approach, similar approach that we're doing with financial checkup. So we do those, we prepare that in the apps, so people can put in numbers, and then after that, it created demand and say that, hey, my finances doesn't look very good. So what should I do? Who should I contact to? Should I talk to? And that's the start. And then we add products, we add classes as well, and then because some of the RFC and RFC holders also doing seminars, as well as do all those kind of marketing. So we also provide ticketing, so for people to want to join their classes as well as their seminars, they can do that through our apps as well and our websites. So it's basically do a different type of financial planning as well as financial planning support kind of thing with the apps though. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's great because like you can basically get prep the client, or the prospect before talking to them, right? And the people
Exactly.
who actually search for these kinds of things are also the kind of people you want to work with because they actually care about their money and want to listen to the advice, right? So
Right. Right.
it's a
And
win-win.
and then we have this feature called Ask Your Planner,
Mm,
our apps. It's a one-on-one chatting discussions, and you have to pay for it. It's very cheap. I think it's like $5 for like an hour.
okay.
So yeah, we copy that models. I think there's a product called, I don't know if you're familiar. In Indonesia, we have a product called Halodoc. Halodoc is like a chat with your physician. So with a
Like
doctor,
telemedicine. Yeah.
yeah, with medicines, right, right. So we copy the model using that. Now, I mean, if your medicine, you need that for your health. This one, you talk with your finance planner. You need that for your financial health as well. So
Yeah.
we have that features that right now a lot of people like it.
Yeah, it sounds very convenient and very, like life-changing for many, I'm sure. Are these apps downloadable in the net or
Yes.
in the App Store, like Apple App Store, or like where can they download it? And do you have to pay for these apps aside from the
No,
consultation?
no, it's free. And I think some of the planners still doing a free consultation for the first 30 minutes, something like that. You can download it. The Right now it's only on Androids though.
Ah,
Uh,
Android.
Androids and websites, actually. You can, I mean, for those of using the Apples, then you can use the website instead. So because the Apple users in Indonesia is very low, that's why we don't have the hassle to do the one
Right.
apps in iOS though. So
Okay.
you can download it in Androids as well as using the websites.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I think that can definitely be a game changer for many. So can we get the name of the app? Like, is it
Yeah.
exactly in Indonesian or is it how
No, it's called Monisa.
Monisa?
Monesa.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. All right. So, like now, we want to know more about your involvement with the IARFC. So, could you tell us your story about how did you discover the RFC and how did you get this designation?
Yeah, well, actually, I think back in 1999, when I was still working for American Express Financial Advisors, I was trying to find an associations or college for designation, because during those time, I think to get a CFP designation, you need to go through the College of Financial Planning in Denver, Colorado. So it
Yeah.
will take like 2 years to get the designations, right? And I found IRFC during those times, and I registered for an RFA, I think, back in 1999. So those are my first destinations. And then I went back to Indonesia. Of course, 2001, I start working for investments company and start learning. 2002, I figure, hey, why don't I bring back whatever I've done in United States to Indonesia, introduce financial planning? Because during those time, 2000, 2001, there's only one guy in Indonesia called Safir Senduk. His name is Safir Senduk. He's a self-proclaimed financial planning. He's doing he's just learning through the books, and then just claim and talk to the media and say that he's a financial planner. And during those time, I was like, hey, let's Google these guys. No, no Google. During those time, it was Yahoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I did research on Yahoo and couldn't find his name. And then I talked with the regulator, the financial authority about this guy, and no regulation, no names about this guy, right?
Mhm. No
And
licenses, no
yeah,
designation. Yeah.
right. Having experience and know how tough I was to become a financial advisor in the United States. I mean, I had to go through this Series 7 test, Series 65, Series 63, insurance license, and all those stuff. It took me about like 6 months to become financial planners. I was like, hey, who's this guy? Okay, so then I figured, hey, why don't this is interesting, there's no other guy that has a comprehensive experience as well as certification like what I did. So I figure, I can become, I can contribute to the country, and become somebody's here. Then I contacted the IRFC home office. So and then we emailed back and forth several times. And I think during those times, they just started open up a market in Asia, especially in Southeast Asia, through Jeffrey Chu, right? As a regional managers for the Southeast Asia. So although I contacting home office, and the home office said, okay, so you're under home office, but what do you call that, direct contact, then you can go through Jeffrey Chu through Malaysia's office. So I contacted Jeffrey Chu. We had a discussion a few times, and I flew to KL, and then we decided that we formed the IRFC Indonesia back in July 2003. So this month, July, it will be 20 years
Wow.
of IRFC Indonesia. So we formed that in July 2003, and then ever since then we start doing trainings and doing certification for the Indonesian market. Yes.
And it sounds like the Indonesian chapter has definitely gone a long way, right? The past 20 years. So could you, we heard that the Indonesian chapter is going for a reboot. So could you tell us more about the reboot? What
Yes.
it means?
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, we had a very good relationship with home office, especially during Edmoro in the office, because I think up until I don't know when he stepped down. I think 2008, 2009. I still contacting with him now, and then during 2011, 2012, we kind of like lost contact. We still managed to do a contact with the regional through Jeffrey Chu up until 2014, 2015, and after that we kind of lost. We lost contact with throughout the whole IRFCs throughout Southeast Asia, all the offices, the Singapore, the Philippines as well, Malaysia's offices, Thailand. So we kind of lost because we used to have a regular meeting back then in 2000, during 2005 to 2010s. I flew out to Manila. I flew out to Bangkok, so to had a meeting with this guy, and we kind of like lost during 2000, I think 2014, 2015, up until recently last year. The home office contacting us. and say that hey, let's reconnect, let's redo whatever we've done the last 10 to 20 years, and what the support that we needed in Indonesia from the home office. And I'm glad that we did that, and I really appreciate Susan's and Charlotte, Barry's, Leonard, and everybody's in the home office for doing that. I mean, that's what we need in Indonesia. That's what we need. I think that's what we need in the Southeast Asia chapters, to connect with the home office and have a support, so we can go with the market with more confidence and more support, so we can grow this financial planning certification, as well as introduce financial plan to the market. So that's why we call it Reboot. So we reconnect and we redo the whole things. We also the Indonesian structures. We do restructuring the Indonesian board as well. And the timing just right, like you said. It's a lot of lucky things going on in my life. The timing just right when the financial authority just invited us for the focus group discussions on the blueprint for the financial plannings for the future for Indonesia. So so then officially they reappoint me again to become the president for the IARFC Indonesia chapters. Now we call it president. We used to call chapter chairman and presidents. So then we redo it again. So we get the fully support from the home office now.
Yeah, I can pretty much say the same thing. We're very grateful for the home office for doing all of this, right? Like rekindling the connections, and then doing so much support. It's wonderful. And you mentioned that you got reelected or reinstated as president. How long have you been the president? Or I think you were one of the founding members of the chapter. So did it start from there, or?
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah. So I think as long as the chapter's been in Indonesia, so well, see, I'm in a unique position because I have the experience as a financial planner when I was in US. So I
Right.
had the first hand, not only do a lecturing and do all the theories about financial planning. I was a financial advisor in United States. So I had the best practice when I was there. I
Hmm.
had the best training when I was in American Express Financial Advisors. I combined the training that we had in American Express compared to what in the market have and what the IRFC offers.
Right.
And a lot of material and modules that we created in Indonesia for the Indonesian market are the combination for those, and also, of course, tailor-made with the Indonesian law and regulations. So that's why the financial authority always calling me up whenever there's some kind of problem and trouble in the financial industry, especially that involve a financial planner. During these 20 years, there's only two incidents, two fraud that involving a financial planners in Indonesia. One just happened recently, like a couple of years ago during the COVID.
Mhm.
The other one happened like 10 years ago, 2013, and I was involved with the financial authority on how to solve these problems. We expelled the lady and the guy. Even I even I managed to put the guy in prison for the last scam. That's how much my support and my commitment to a financial planning in Indonesia.
It's great. It's great. I think it's also very important to work closely with regulators, right? It raises the bar for the profession, but also, that deep experience and commitment is a very important thing in leading an association, and especially if you're a familiar face, it's easier to connect with other chapters, right? Because like, oh, who's that guy from Indonesia? Ah, Aidil, like, right? You know what I mean? So, um, could you tell us more about, like, what do you think would be the benefits of connecting with other chapters in Asia?
Oh yeah, that will be very good and very beneficial for all of us. like I said, 15 years ago, we used to have meetings. Um, uh, we flew out, to different countries,
Right.
to have meetings, regular meetings, like once a year, at least every 6 months. Nowadays, we can do it through Zooms, or
Yeah.
maybe every 6 months, maybe every one year we can fly out to some country, or we go different countries to have like Southeast Asia meetings kind of
Yeah.
stuff, to updates what happened in our chapters, and how we can support each other, like doing the podcast right now, and you guys supporting us here, and this is something great that we can copy it and do it locally as well. So we can learn from whatever the initiative that we do in every single chapters, and grow the business together, I think. Yeah.
That sounds it. Very exciting actually. And it definitely is a lot easier to coordinate now compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago, right?
Exactly.
Uh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Uh, so last question from me on for the day. So of course you're gonna definitely need to rest because we've been going on at it for a while. Could you tell us more about how the RFC designation is different in Indonesia and the renewal process in
Mhm.
Indonesia?
Yeah, like I mentioned, because we don't have sets of regulation that regulate
Right,
us, we tend to make RFCs more strict than other certifications, especially for RFCs, right? RFA holders nowadays, I think the last 5 years, we make it more easier uh, to get RFAs, so that a lot of more people get interested to get into RFA.
hmm
RFC, we make it more strict. That we have, like I said, we have set of classes that they have to take, and
right,
then we have tasks, multiple choice tasks. We have doing plan tasks. Yeah, so they have to do some cases, and do structures a real financial plan. Um, this is something that I learned when I was in American Express. You have to do a real plan, like 20, 30 pages plans. And then on RFC sites, they have to present the plan to us. So we have a board of, doing a task, do the Q&A.
hmm
Actually, what I told them, that don't see us as the task, what's it called, that task prompter, something like that. See us as a client. You want to present us your work. You want to present us as a client, how you do a financial planning for us. So we more kind of like do a client advisors simulations.
right.
So when we ask a lot of questions, hey, why you do that? How come you recommend this product? Things like that. So it's kind of like simulation. So a lot of people that graduate from IARFC Indonesia, very thankful because we're doing that, because then they had the real hands-on experience on how to deal with the clients and do the financial planning. That's one thing. And then on the renewal sides, renewal process, similar like the what happened in United States, they need to fulfill the CE, the continuous educations.
Right.
Uh, though Indonesia, we make the just like what happened in the United States, I think, and that's what the advantage of IRFC, to get the CE. Although the CE hours is very high, 40 hours, but it's available whenever you take any financial classes, any financial informations, any kind of financial things that upgrade your knowledge in financial and financial planning, that would should get CE hours that you can clock in as part of the renewal process, though. So and then also the advantage, because um, of course this is a business compared to a competitor. Uh, they only have like 10 or 20 hours, but it has to go through their what do you call that, a register or certified training program, something like that.
Right.
We are more open. Basically, you get training from anywhere else. You get government's information, stuff like that. Do paper writings, do a book writings, book valuations. As long as it's upgrade your knowledge, then you get the CE credit on that, and then you can clock in for the renewal process. So that's what we're doing in Asia.
Yeah, I guess the 40 hours, double, quadruple, what other designations require, um, set us apart. It also keeps us very sharp, right, on the cutting
That,
edge, for sure, for sure.
yes.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Aidil, for being our honored guest tonight's
Yes,
episode
Andre.
on RFC Tuesday podcast, season 7. Your passion for writing, teaching, leading, and even innovating is, I'm sure, a big inspiration to everyone, myself included. And I'm pretty sure this will help us advance financial planning practice in the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you. If you guys need any helps or anything, just let us know. In Indonesia, we're brothers here in Southeast
Practically.
Asia. Yeah, so let us know so we can give support to each other. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. To our listeners and viewers, for the RFC public courses and continuing education trainings and seminars, please visit the IARFC Facebook page for announcements on schedules. And a reminder for RFC membership renewal, active members now receive free continuing education seminars, access to the official IARFC website, the www.iarfc.org, where each member of good standing is recognized when searched by clients and prospects. And please do be reminded that we can only use the RFC designation if we are a member of good standing. So for your membership renewal inquiries, please contact Ms. Arlene Baguyo at iarfcph@gmail.com or 0917-645-7846. You can see that on the screen here. And contact the IARFCPH now for your membership renewals. All right, so to our dear RFC members and those in the financial planning field, this podcast is dedicated to help you in your pursuit to excellence in your career and practice. So please follow us on Facebook, and episodes are pre-recorded and are streamed through Facebook Live and the IARFC Philippines YouTube channel. We are very grateful to the superb assistance of the one and only Ms. Susan Kappa, Public Relations Officer of IARFC. And until our next international series, Ms. Susan, maybe next year, we are very appreciative of the meticulous editing of Sir Bong Escobar, our in-house editor. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, my co-anchor, Sir Boyet Benavides, president of the IARFC Philippines chapter. We miss you, sir. It would have been great to have you here, of course. And on behalf of our executive producer, Miss Grace de Vera Escobar, this is the RFC Tuesday podcast saying,
It is better to be in the know than to be the last to know.
all right, thank you very much, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.